Should you start a podcast, a YouTube show, or a combination of both? In this video, we're going to be talking all about it. I'm Amanda Horvath, and I'm all about helping business owners and entrepreneurs leverage the power of video without breaking the bank or taking up tons of their time. So if you're looking to use video in your strategy this year, be sure to subscribe and click the bell to be notified every time I release a new video. I wanted to create this video because I often have people tell me that they're starting a podcast and they want to record the interviews for the podcast on Zoom, like Zoom conferencing, and then take that video and upload it to YouTube. That way they're hitting both platforms at once. And in this video, I want to kind of talk through that decision and share with you what you don't know that you don't know about the YouTube algorithm to help you really decide if that is actually a good decision for you. And then from there, I'll help you decide whether or not you should just do podcasting, just do a YouTube show, or jump all in and do a combination of both. So I'm going to be giving you guys 4 things to consider when navigating this question. Consideration 1, watch time as a metric. The number one metric on YouTube is watch time. And what that refers to is the amount of hours that people have spent watching any videos on your channel. So podcasts seem like a great idea to take a long form video and put it up on your channel because it can increase the amount of watch time for your channel. And while this can be an amazing thing when done correctly, it can actually be really challenging to do right. Let me explain. When you are creating a podcast, you are assuming that your audience is going to stick around for the entire thing. And that does tend to be the case when you are using a podcasting app. A lot of people, they'll put on a podcast while they're cooking dinner, maybe driving in the car or going on a run or something like that. Now, YouTube is a very different platform and your audience retention might be very short. So if you take a long form video and put it up on YouTube, then it might not perform as well as you might be hoping that it would perform on YouTube. So if you do that and you put, say, a 45-minute video up on YouTube and it's not optimized for the platform and people only watch about 4 to 5 minutes of it, that is actually going to be hurting your YouTube channel because it's saying that people aren't actually interested in what you are releasing. So instead of thinking that this might kill 2 birds with 1 stone, or let me change that around, feed 2 birds with 1 scone, trying to keep that positive over here, then you might consider the fact that actually you could be hurting your YouTube channel if you aren't making tweaks to your podcast episodes to optimize them for YouTube. A general rule of thumb is that anytime you are taking one piece of content that is supposed to live on a certain platform and putting it on another, there are likely some tweaks that you are going to need to make for that same piece of content to work well on another platform. So specifically with podcasting, one of the things that you might do is record some sort of intro to your podcast where you are addressing the YouTube audience and maybe introducing who the guest is and giving your audience some sort of reasons or takeaways of why they might want to stick through the entire podcast. So you can see how that would be a little bit more optimized for YouTube instead of just throwing them into a random episode where you are just introducing this person and they have no clue what they're going to get out of it. Now, if you did want to take things to the next level and kind of step up your production quality instead of just using Zoom, then you could get multiple cameras, but you would need to be in the same location as the person that you are filming, and that would make things a little bit more interesting because you could cut in between the cameras, so that typically tends to increase audience retention whenever you're changing things on screen instead of just having a static shot of 2 people talking on Zoom. One person I've seen do this very well is Javier Mercedes, and so I'm going to link to his podcast in the description below. Be sure to check it out. He does an amazing job of not only the production quality of his shoots, but also taking photos of the people that he's introducing or any videos to really introduce them to make it even more engaging for YouTube versus just seeing them talk back and forth. So overall, the thing here to consider is watch time. Is the content that you are taking from one platform and putting on YouTube actually going to perform well on YouTube, or is it going to hurt you? And if you are willing to do that extra work, then it might make sense to do both. Otherwise, you might want to just stick with podcasting or change your strategy and optimize your content specifically for YouTube. Consideration 2, optimize for search. YouTube is a search engine, and what that means is that people are going to YouTube when they have a problem and they are searching for a solution to that problem. So when you take a long form interview and you just upload it to YouTube with some random title with that person's name in it, like interview with that person, it's not going to do very well on the platform. It needs to be optimized for search. Now you could take that long form video and give it some sort of how-to title, which you might already be doing on your podcast in the first place, but the likelihood that someone will watch a 45-minute video or 30-minute video whenever they are searching for something is very slim. So another strategy that you might consider implementing is taking parts of your podcast out and then putting just parts of it on YouTube. And you could implement the same strategy that I mentioned from consideration 1, where you record an intro to that specific section of it and introduce the topic that someone might be searching for, and then play that clip and just end the video instead of taking the entire podcast and putting it there. So the reason I wanted to mention this is because I just want you to be aware of the psychology of each platform. Once again, I realize that that does take a little bit of an extra effort to take a part out of your interview and repurpose it. So that is something to consider. You're not going to just be able to take one and put it up and just make it work. Hey, before I move on to the last 2 considerations, if you are getting value from this video, please be sure to click like and drop a comment below. Consideration 3, discoverability. When you first start with a podcast or a YouTube channel, you are starting with 0 audience. Now, if you're kickstarting this thing off of a big email list that you already have, then awesome, you will have an audience from the beginning. But otherwise, you are going to have to drive all traffic to any episode or video that you create on either platform that you choose. Now, the difference is that with YouTube, there's more built-in discovery. While with the podcast, you're going to have to continue kind of pushing your content out there and encouraging your listeners to push the content out there as well. So as we've already established with YouTube, you can optimize your content so that the YouTube algorithm will push it out to more people. And so over time, while they might start the same, the YouTube channel becomes a lot easier to maintain in the long term because you can kind of set it and forget it. You can release a video and you'll automatically get viewers. It's going to take a lot longer to get to that stage with podcasting. So that is another thing to consider. You might be thinking, yeah, Amanda, I know that. That's why I wanted to take my podcast and put it on YouTube so that more people could discover me. But once again, as you now know, it doesn't quite work that way, and it takes a little bit of an extra work to ensure that the YouTube traffic will be, in fact, helping your podcast rather than just hurting your YouTube channel. So I just want to lay that out there to kind of describe to you all of the things so that when you can start with the best foot forward. The final thing to consider is your preferences. What is your gut telling you? If you close your eyes right now in this very moment in time, you likely are being pulled in a certain direction, whether that is starting a podcast, doing a YouTube channel, or a combination of both. You might be excited about doing both in a very effective way, and this video might have just given you ideas for how to do that better. If that is the case, I am excited for you, and I think that is a great decision. And if you're feeling like, I wasn't really wanting to dive all in and go and do both, then maybe you just choose to focus on one or the other. And if you are still on the fence, then I just want to plant the seed that I would encourage you to start a YouTube channel first and start to kind of build up that discoverability, optimize your content for search, and really start to play the YouTube game. And then once you start building your audience, then you have an audience to launch your podcast to at that stage. I also think it's probably an easier transition to go from having a YouTube channel to a podcast than the reverse. So that is also something to consider. And one final thing just to leave you with, just to kind of think about this, one thing that I haven't seen someone do very well is just getting their interview guests to film themselves. So almost everyone these days has an iPhone, and they already have a recording device that they were planning to use to record the interview in the first place. So whether that's a USB mic for their computer or maybe just some headphones that they were planning to use, just have them use that audio recording device, set up their camera with a light source in front of it, and then have them send you that video file. You can send it via WeTransfer.com if it's under 2 gigabytes, or you can just use Google Drive to send this file. And then you can take those video files, the one that you recorded, the one that they recorded, and you can cut together a more interesting video than just a boring Zoom video where you're both just kind of talking to the camera, and it's not gonna work that well for YouTube. So that is just another thing to consider as well, just in case you wanted to take things to the next level. So which direction are you now leaning? I would love to hear your thoughts, so go ahead and drop them in the comments section below, and I'll see you in the next video.